So as we have three of you here, I've got a question to you. Are you engineers or business person? But on the technical side or sales? Technical. And you, sir? Great. Okay, so I'll be able to basically throw out half of my presentation, which is great. So, again, thanks for being here. I know that on the other room there's IBM and not much people as well. I definitely would recommend people from the other room coming here, because actually one of the use cases of our solution is to lower the cost of the CM systems such as IBM QRadar. But, well, that's the other thing. So, my name is Bartosz Girba, and I wanted to tell you just a few things about the solutions we actually created and why. And as I've told you, I will try to skip most of the presentation in such case and do some quick demo as well. Basically, we're a Polish-based company now working internationally, including my colleague Radu from here, basically. But what we did, we had a long experience, almost 20 years with the people we're working currently in our previous parent company, that we've been focusing on network monitoring, on cybersecurity. We've been reselling other vendors. At some point, we found out that we know better than them, because we're actually on the front line with customers. And especially big companies from US mostly, for example, let it be IBM next room, they tend not to be flexible enough for customers. So we create our own solution to be kind of unique and be much agile and more adjusted to customer needs. So very brief introduction about the company. As I've told you, even though Sycope is on the market just a few years, the parent company and the engineers behind have even over, not almost 20 years of experience for some people. We're available in whole Europe right now, here especially through the software distribution. But what we do very strongly NPM market, which is basically network visibility, observability, and cyber security. So probably the closest comparison to our solution would be NDR. However, I know what other vendors do, and they call them NDRs, even they're not really. So we're trying to be really specific on that and maybe not to do too much marketing. What's quite important for this conference, for this place, is we have already successful big projects for international companies, and in Poland we have public sector, including Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Defense, National Institute of Research. So there's a lot. We have out-of-the-box product. However, for some customers, we do like really custom projects. We had one actually in Poland to do a content blocking for internet access to primary schools. Basically, all the vendors that were available on the market had some specific success rate in blocking that, but then the gap that was between them and 100%, we tried to fill with our machine learning technology inside the solution, and specifically focusing on Polish language in that case. So these are the things we're doing, and I think I'll try to skip a little more. We do network monitoring. It's, I think, obvious for most of the people that network traffic, network information can be used for multiple purposes. So what we did, having such a long experience, we decided to create a solution from scratch that would be focusing on both networking and for network teams and for security teams. So try to combine NOC and SOC solution in one, of course, in some specific area, because usually we use exactly the same data, so it's just easier. The product itself consists of monitoring using flow technologies and as some addition, packet analysis, we do not do telemetry, so we will not tell you that the device is alive or not, or what the temperature of the switch or host or whatever else is. That's not for us. We try to analyze the traffic. The flow protocols are the main source because they just use much less space than any packet recording tool. So we are basically a system to gather, store, and analyze net flow, or basically flow protocols, then to report, alert, and show it to you as a user. Okay, I'll skip a couple of them. I want to show one slide. I was thinking, why are we unique on the market where there are actually a lot of vendors doing theoretically the same? So most of the vendors were networking vendors, and security came. It's very important now, it's a buzzword, so we need to have some security. So they acquired other companies, tried to integrate the product, but it's still just trying, and the integration is not that good. The opposite side as well, security vendors tried to get some additional network monitoring, but it never looks great. So we just did both of the things were in the original concept and just create a product that integrates both of them from the scratch. Then things like quick implementation, of course, role-based access control, but I'd focus on one of the things. There's a bullet, unknown custom vendor metadata, something. So the idea is that with flow-based technologies, you get some specific information. Let it be source IP address, destination IP address, port, how much data, what time, etc. But what about the information that we do not recognize? So different vendors, let it be Cisco routers, Fortinet firewalls, etc., will be sending you different information. And of course, you can implement all known parameters. But what we did, we create a solution that you as a user can actually add any unknown as of today field to the system, analyze it like it's part of the system from the beginning. So that's really useful because you don't need developer to do anything. You as a user can add a field. For example, your firewall is sending you, I don't know, the IP address before the network address translation. It's not there yet. Okay, you can just configure it. It's there. Recently, we did add-on as a user on the system, for example, that MAC addresses from the access points that are sending flows. So there are a lot of use cases for that, but basically, we do not require development team to add this kind of features. Then maybe some of you noticed that the title of the presentation included AI. So what we try to do, of course, is to use AI as most companies on the market. It's a buzzword as well, but at the same time, we're not trying to use AI for everything, everywhere, because there's no point of doing that. We try to utilize it where it actually can give us some additional value, and it's cheaper, quicker, whatever you want to choose. So things like enhanced baselining, reducing the false positives in terms of alerting, network profiling of users to detect that something is not normal and something is changing. So anything regarding the abnormal behavior, this is where we utilize the technology, and it's there, it's going to be enhanced, but we're not trying to be like AI everywhere. That's not the goal. Okay, I told you I'll be skipping some things. Just to let you know, the solution is software appliance for a virtual, it's a virtual machine, so it's basically a VMware ready-to-use appliance that you deploy and run in like 15 minutes or less. And we then need to gather flow-based information from your infrastructure, from switches, routers, firewalls, load balancers, packet brokers, I don't know, agents, dedicated hardware or software props that we offer as well, but in the end, it doesn't have to be ours. And then just analyze it. The product has three main parts. One is visibility, which is basically network monitoring, so who sent how much traffic where. Then we have performance, where we can actually tell you that the application is working slow or not, and why actually, because the slow probably users will see that as well. And the last is the security, which is probably the most important for today. By the way, most of the CM systems, including QRadar, probably next door, I hope, they're utilizing flow-based information as well. But this is probably the example of system that was designed for security, and the flows were like added later, so it's not that great. So there are a couple of use cases I want to show you or talk about. I will actually tell you about two of them. The demo will be live. So first is compliance. I think that in every country there are some rule set, laws, compliance needs for storing network logs. In Poland, depending if you're ISP or just a regular company, it may differ, but sometimes it's even in a year or more that you need to keep the logs who was communicating with whom. So if the police knocks on your door and they ask, you know, this is the IP address, this is the port, you need to tell me who it was. So keeping such information, especially for a long time, is a requirement. And in Poland, it's, for example, a requirement for every ISP. And I don't mean like the 4 biggest GSM ISPs plus a couple of big Polish or international ones. Even a small local neighborhood ISP have to obey the same law. So flows, the net flow was not directly created for this purpose, but it's mainly used for this purpose, like a technology that perfectly fits it. So we're doing this very easily. Then some calculations just to show you that trying to keep the packet is like impossible. You will never be able to keep packets, especially that the most traffic in the internet now and intranet as well is encrypted. You will never be able to store this data for a long time. Even few hours may be a challenge nowadays. And with flows, we can reduce it. Well, actually, your devices are already reducing it like a few hundred times at least. So storing data for a few months, still having big storage, but it's just feasible, and companies are doing that. Also, from the business point of view, sorry, I know you're engineers, we stitch the information that we got from the flow sources to reflect the connection. So if you have one connection in your network and we gather this information from multiple sources because there are, for example, multiple routers in between, we'll stitch it to one line, just lowering the disk space usage. And in the end, the licensing doesn't care how long you store the data. We just care about the performance, so how many flows per second are you actually getting. We don't care about how long or how much storage do you have. The other things are, of course, for performance issues. So we all know that user is calling, you know, something's wrong, something's not working. You check, no, it's fine on my side. It's not the network, for example, or it's not the application, it's not something. This is typical. Usually the network guys are to blame. However, in many cases, the security issues are also a reason. With the performance module, we can analyze it as well. We can also do a traffic recording for some specific traffic for some later analysis for retrospective forensic. So if we have alert, we can try even just getting full traffic, recording it, not doing it all the time because it's just don't make sense. So also, what is really useful today, we having the technology in the Sycope solution, we're able to detect layer 7 application. Today, no one cares about applications such as HTTP or HTTPS. Everything is HTTPS, basically today. You care that it's YouTube, it's Netflix, it's any other kind of application that you use, and you want to actually differ between what is business oriented, which is not business oriented, and which is probably not good for your company or employees, or maybe just dangerous phishing, etc. So we can do it easily. I told you about the additional fields before myself. There was an Infobox presentation here, so I'm not trying to say that we are going to do everything what Infobox does, because we don't. But for example, having some additional fields, some of them are by default configured, some of them you can add. For example, let it be DNS. If we enhance the flow information using the DNS fields, it's easy to show how much traffic was, for example, flowing outside your network using DNS rather than inside. So even though we don't have the payload and usually cannot tell you what was inside, because that's not the goal of such solution, but we can easily show you, okay, probably we have some exfiltration of data using DNS protocol. So these are the things that we can add here easily. This is just a very easy example. Everyone understands what DNS or HTTP is, but you can add any NetFlow field that is not known to the system yet. Then for the security, we've been probably one of the first vendors on the market worldwide that created or have its security part of the solution based on MITRE ATT&CK framework. So every rule that we have, every alert that is in the system regarding the security part is going to be having technique and tactic from the MITRE ATT&CK, so it's easier to understand, easier to correspond to other systems. Of course, we will cover basically the almost all networking part, as usually you don't get flows or information from end hosts or just the perimeter devices. We don't cover this part that much, very limited support, but it's just because the data source that we utilize. Also, what is important, most companies are really focusing on securing their network edge, but today it's really easy to get inside network and then just do lateral movement, try to spread any threat that it's there. So with flow-based technology, it's much easier to analyze the internal traffic as well and see things that have been today spoken of multiple times, such as network reconnaissance, some scannings, data collection, exfiltration, etc. Things that are already in your network and are trying to, for example, connect to the command and control. They are easy to spot, but just some security threat moving from one host to other, it's not that easy. So that's definitely helping. So we've got a huge rule set that is embedded in the solution. You can add anything on your own, some baselining, automatic, manual, but in the end, we provide you a value out of the box. So you can just run the solution and have everything on that working just through a few minutes. So I can show you on a couple of slides that we cover all this MITRE ATT&CK and basically any attack phases. I will try to show it live in a moment. But as I've told you, I don't feel that we're like a full-scale NDR solution, but still, as a lot of vendors are saying they are, even they are not. But we can do any action on based on alert that we detect, which means basically you can create any script that you want. You can of course use some integrations that we have in a solution, but that's always limited to some specific solutions we can integrate with. But if you want to do your own script that will, I don't know, look up the IP address of an alert in VirusTotal and based on the output block it on the firewall, you can easily do that. Well, easily, depending on your skills and what you actually want to achieve. So that's doable with the API, with the integrations that we already have, and just scripts that then you can use on your own. So from the presentation point of view, that would be all. But I wanted to, as I've told you, skip some slides and move to the demo side. This is actually just a screenshot. So let me move to the actual solution. I'm connected via my cell phone, so I hope it's going to be enough. So I just wanted to show you just a few screens from the solution. So it's nice, colorful, it has only dark mode, and as I've told you, we have multiple default views and out-of-the-box value. If you want to create anything on your own, you can do it easily. This, for example, is the automatic baselining. For example, that kind of baseline you can do on any metric you wish. As by default, this is one of the examples that I hope you can see the light blue line, the actual value that is happening, and the pinkish violet color is showing you what would be the typical values. And this automatically learned. This is not something that you've put as a specific threshold, because that would make no sense. If we want to go to analyze basically some security things, yeah, we're focusing on security today. So SOC and KPIs looks nice. Maybe not last 15 minutes. We can go behind whatever we want. I think this week would be enough to have some more alerts. As I've told you, it's just categorizing all the threats that we detected on the tactics on Mitre. And one of the use cases for this solution is actually being a middleware to the CM system. Because again, Splunk, ArcSight, QRadar, other systems as well, they are utilizing flows in many cases to help the forensic, to help the correlation. However, their licensing model, and well, I've been implementing basically all of them, and in my other previous company selling some of them as well. Their licensing model is quite expensive to add flow-based information to them. So what we did for a few of our customers actually as a sold solution and a real use case, we're gathering the flows, doing the analysis, and then putting just one event to the CM system. So you use one EPS instead of quite a lot of license for flow analysis. So this is one of the use cases we can go. Of course, depending on what you want to know, we can do a lot of analysis. Let me just show you one more. So things like most suspicious client IPs, for example, that's really useful to show you who should you focus on in your network. For example, if it's especially internal IP address. So just who to start with. If we want to see, I don't know, countries, other types, different kind of visualization, that's nice color for us, every other product on the market. So I think I don't want to do a lot of marketing here, but that's basically very easy to show if and alert, for example, if you have more traffic to some specific country than typical. In my case, unfortunately, most of the traffic is actually from Poland, where the system is, to null, which is basically internal network. So there is no country for private IP addresses. But what you can see, the alert was initial, I hope you can see, it's initial connection from public IPs. So that means that some external services were actually initializing connections to our internal network. So this is a very brief demo of the solution. I can show you a lot more later on. Everything is clickable, filterable. Every small rectangle here is a widget that you can configure. So the flexibility of this solution is really amazing. We, as creators of this solution, actually use the same possibilities to create those widgets, those charts, those baselines that you can use as a customer. So that's really useful. You don't need to wait for a new upgrade. You don't need the developer or professional services to that. So it's really, really useful, and you can just fulfill your needs much quicker than with any other solution that is on the market. I'm not going to talk about prices, that's not my point. If you want to know anything about pricing, which is competitive, definitely, that I can tell you, I'd suggest you to contact my colleague Radu, who is sitting here in the front. And I think that's it from the presentation point of view. I try to be quick. I know it's a last presentation today. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. If not, I'll definitely want to thank you for coming here for the last session, and for the people that came, and that there are actually a couple of more of you now. I will have some gifts. Radu will help me just sharing them with you. We have again nice Sycope mug. We actually have a booth downstairs, but I think that booths are not very popular today. We'll see tomorrow. And if you have a card, this is a very dangerous, not cyber but security tool, which is just a knife that can break the window in your windshield, or any shield in a window in the car, or cut the belt if anything happens. So I hope you will have it and will never use it, basically. Very useful gadget, by the way. So, thank you very much.